Hello and welcome back to Joel Explores Tech. This video is going to be part 2 of a retro collection pickup that I recently made. There were a number of towers ranging all the way from 486s up to Intel Xeon CPU systems. This video will be the Pentium 2 and newer systems, as well as some loose items that were included with the pickup. There's one item that I'm actually really interested in. We won't be able to actually test it out, but I will be showing it near the end of the video, and we'll hopefully be able to test that out in the future. I'll put a link in the description to the first video if you want to check that one out. And without further ado, let's start exploring. We're starting off with the Dimension XPS D333. It is a Pentium 2 system, so likely 333 megahertz. It has the designed for Windows 95 case badge, so that gives us a good indication of the time frame the system would have been released. We've got a floppy and CD-ROM that look like they were initially installed, and a aftermarket CD rewritable drive here, 52 speed. Going around to the back, we have our power supply and case fans, PS2, USB 1.0 ports, serial parallel, VGA. We're starting to get in now to the colored input and output ports on the sound cards, and then a modem. Let's go ahead and get the case off. There's a thumb screw here, and then there are two tabs. These are a little bit tricky, so let me go ahead and get this back on the desk, get this opened up, and we'll take a look on the inside. With the case off, we can see it's got a metal shield on the inside of the door. So it is obviously very dirty. Do a quick run through here. Looks like we've got a Pentium 2 slot 1 processor. I can't read any of the markings because it's so dirty. I'm going to get everything cleaned off in a bit here before we really dig in, but just kind of taking a quick look. Diamond Fire Pro video card, AGP looks like, so that's pretty cool. That's a early 3D accelerator card, and I can't tell the audio card here yet, but it's sort of a cutaway smaller PCB. We've got the modem down here at the bottom. We've got two memory slots populated. It looks like both of our CD-ROMs are on the same IDE channel, with the other IDE channel probably was for the hard drive, which is removed, it looks like, so we won't be able to boot up any existing operating system, but we'll get it booted up at least to confirm functionality of the video, and just jump in the BIOS, maybe take a look. I'm going to go ahead and get it all cleaned out, and then we'll pop out a few of the cards and just dig a little bit deeper. The majority of the dust is all blown out now, so I thought we would take a quick look at the video card and the sound card just to get a little more info. So we have a Diamond Multimedia Fire 1K Pro AGP. It looks like we've got 8 megs video RAM. So that is a pretty cool find. One of the earlier AGP cards. And then the audio card, I can already see some Turtle Beach branding. Turtle Beach was a sort of higher end audio card, at least back in the day, in the DOS days. I'm not sure later when they started to get more into pre-built systems if their cards were quite as highly coveted, but we've got a Oriole Vortex chip, so we should have some of the 3D sound positioning functionality. Otherwise, a fairly simple setup here, and then we will get some power, video, and a keyboard hooked up, and let's see if this thing boots. Okay, so we're getting a video signal now. Looks like we've got 64 megs of RAM, and we're seeing that 333 processor, 512K of cache, and looks like our two CD-ROMs. Let's go ahead and go into the BIOS. So as I mentioned, there's no hard drive, so nothing to configure there. I was just going to kind of jump through some of these just to see what we have as far as settings. Looks like the system is functioning. State of the memory cache. Resource configuration. So pretty standard settings in the BIOS there. So I think we confirmed this system, got it a little bit cleaned up, and let's move on to the next one. This next system moves us into the Pentium 3 era. It is a gateway pre-built system and has a badge for Windows XP, so likely was released in 2000 or later. We just have our standard floppy CD-ROM, we've got USB, and looks like a cutout potentially for FireWire, but is not populated. Going around to the back, we have a model number KTH300C, and actually here's the manufacture date of 10902, so fairly late for a Pentium 3, probably just like a lower end system or for an office PC or something. We've got our standard array of ports here, built-in Ethernet modem installed. They have a release system for the side of the case. It's a bit tricky to do, so I'm not going to do it on the camera, but basically press down on this and then the side is able to open up. So let's go ahead and pop it open real quick and take a look on the inside. On the inside, we're looking pretty bare bones here. We've got 3 PCI slots, with one of them populated with the modem. We've got 2 memory slots. One is populated with a 128 megabyte SIM. We have our CPU, which I looked up and is a 1.1 gigahertz Pentium 3. We have a hard drive, which is 80 gigabytes. Just wanted to take a quick look on the inside just to confirm the specs and see what we've got. So as I mentioned, there are 2 of these systems identical that were in the collection. One of them is missing the side, so could potentially be used for some spare parts, sort of pick and place the best parts between the 2. I probably won't be utilizing these in any of my own builds, so I'll probably share these with some local retro enthusiasts. I do plan at some point to build a later Pentium 3 or potentially Pentium 4 build for an XP machine, but I'm kind of focused on earlier 486 and Pentium machines for now. Next up, we have another pair of gateway systems. Similar to the last 2, they look identical. Both these systems are newer than I would tend to use for a retro system and older than would be useful as a home media server or something to that effect. So again, with these, I'll probably be looking for a new home for these ones. But let's go ahead and open up one of them and take a look inside. Before we open up the system, I just wanted to give a quick look at the back side here. Again, we've got FireWire, USB, built-in Ethernet, and a modem, and then the standard ports. What's interesting is this is actually a Media Center PC. I don't know if there was originally some video capture or other video related cards, or if they were just relying on VGA out to perform the Media Center functionality. At some point I had a PC with a Media Center with multiple tuner cards and had a open source, I think it was GB PVR, was a open source sort of TiVo kind of setup where you could auto strip out commercials and do all of that with your PC. But in any case, let's go ahead and open this up. It does have a QA tag, so we'll be breaking the seal there, but let's open it up and see if there's any surprises. So as expected, it's pretty standard on the inside, nothing really all that interesting. But again, I wanted to take a peek in case there was any interesting surprises in here. But we've got 4 memory slots, 2 of which are populated. We've got our modem
in one of the two PCI slots. There's a empty AGP slot there. We've moved up to SATA drives now in the Pentium 4 era, and everything else is pretty standard. We've got our breakout cables going to our USB and FireWire connections on the front. Actually, I don't know if I showed that. There is a little door here with some front accessible ports. So, and memory card as well. So I think that wraps up these systems. There are a few more that I wanted to showcase that just came in the collection. I'll probably jump through and show a few of the loose items that came as well. There were also some CRTs that were included in the collection. I will likely be making a separate video showcasing those. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This system I'm just including for completeness. It is a Inspiron 530S. To pick up everything, it was sort of an all or nothing deal. So I had to take everything he had there. I was happy to do that, but again, this is a much newer system than I generally collect. So again, I'll probably be finding a new home, and it is missing the side. So it'll probably just be a good part system for somebody who is wanting a home server or something basic that they could utilize this for. I believe it is a Core 2 Duo processor and just has a 1 gig SIM and a DVD drive in there. And then the last full system that was in the collection was this Dell Precision T3500, which is a Xeon system. I've never actually owned any systems with a Xeon in them, so that was kind of interesting. It's very heavy with a metal front. The whole case is metal, in fact. This would have been more like a higher end workstation or possibly a server sort of setup in an office. We've got a DVD drive, not much else to say on the front there. Some standard front ports. Around the back we have USB, we've got eSATA. We do have a parallel and serial port still on there. We've got 2 display ports and a DVI on the video card. It will be interesting to open up and see what video they've got there. So we've opened up the system now, and it's got quite a lot going on. There's some pretty interesting setups they have here. I'm not 100% sure on this, but it looks like it's to aid in clamping down the cards potentially, or just holding things in place. We have a NVIDIA Quadro FX 1800 for the video card, probably a pretty beefy workstation card for the time. It's in a PCIe 216 lane slot. We have a 320 gigabyte SATA hard drive. It is mounted on a tray that is on a pretty hefty hinge here, so you can bring it down and it will just hang out at whatever angle, allowing you to access some of the internals. While we've got that down, we can see the heatsink for the Xeon processor. They've got a separate fan here for the processor heatsink, and then another fan up here going directly onto the RAM. Definitely really dirty in there, so I'll have to get that cleaned out. But they've got this fan shroud directly for the RAM itself. They have a spring-loaded mechanism for removing the drives. I think I can figure out this front just to kind of show how this works. It looks like this tab here pulls, which should release the front metal piece. Okay, so that allowed that to go upwards. So there is that probably aluminum metal piece from the front. And then I believe this comes down. Okay, that allowed this to come out. And then they've just got the screws for the drives locked in place. So bringing this down allows removal of the drive. One thing I haven't figured out, there's sort of this tool here. I thought it was potentially something for reaching down behind one of the drives. Sort of lines up with the width of a 5 1/4 bay, and then the where the screws would be. But maybe for inserting that if it's too tight, I'm not sure. But if you've ever worked on Dell systems, let me know in the comments what that tool is for. But overall, I thought all the details they thought of were pretty cool there. Always interested to look at kind of higher end workstation towers and some of the details they put in place. So at some point I'll probably be doing some benchmarking and seeing if this system might be better than the current home network server that I have for running media files and such. So that was the last full tower system and the newest that was included in the collection. There were a few other interesting items that came loose along with the collection. One of the more interesting items was this 486 system on a board, probably for a industrial type use. It is on a ISA card here, 16-bit ISA. We've got a power connector. We've got an AM486 DX4100 processor, 4 SIM slots. There are a number of configuration jumpers. I'll have to search for some documentation or a manual for the setup. To really utilize this board, you would need a ISA backplane with a number of slots. There's no video built onto this card, so we do have our BIOS, keyboard controller, clock chip, but as far as ports, we just have the PS2 keyboard and 2 serial. So you would need the backplane and then to plug in a video card. It's possible in the use case that this would be used that they could do it without a video card in place. I'm not certain, but definitely for any use case I would need to be able to see some video output. So I'll have to look into getting one of those backplane boards. Some other YouTubers like LGR have done videos on similar cards. I haven't seen this particular one, so I definitely think it could be a interesting video to dig into that a little bit more. So I'll be looking for one of those backplanes and possibly give it a run in the future. Another interesting item, there was this Fellows touchpad giving you a laptop style touchpad mouse interface with the 2 buttons with a PS2 connector. Still in the box. You can see it is branded with Glide Point. They made a lot of the laptop touchpads, and I can imagine this is just a laptop pad in a standalone casing. Recently I did come across a similar touchpad, though this one is serial, same brand, Fellows. Another item that was included in a box that came along was actually 2 of these in-box Intech PCI parallel port cards. Generally these were for, as you can see on the box here, things like external zip drives, CD-ROMs that were using parallel, so you could get a higher speed. This is kind of interesting because it has the CompUSA sticker on there from '99. This one is still sealed in the plastic. The other one is open, so we can just take a quick peek in there. But we do have a instruction paper. We have the card itself, and then a driver disc, and then one final loose item that was included as well was a HP Jornada Pocket PC. These were pretty popular in the early 2000s. They ran Windows CE,
and allowed you to do a lot of your computing on the go. This has 32 megabytes of storage built in, and you could expand that with the compact flash. This one's pretty beat up, so I'll have to see if it still works, but it does have the docking station and power cords that we would need for that. So that was our look at the last half of the retro haul. I hope you enjoyed checking out these systems as much as I did. I'm especially excited about that 486 System on a Board ISA card. If you know of any good sources for those ISA backplane boards, let me know. And look forward to testing that out in the future. I think it'll make a good video to check that out and see what we can make it do. So I think that wraps it up for this time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.